Revenge with Anjo.
The words hit like a slap across the quiet morning. From now on, you'll send your salary to Mum's account. Every month. No excuses. It was Leo, her younger brother, shouting from the doorway of the flat they still shared. Their mother, Gloria, stood behind him with folded arms and a smirk that carried more pride than concern. "And if you ever need money, Isla," Gloria added softly, "you'll ask us properly. Maybe then you'll learn respect." The sting in her tone was sharper than any insult. Isla Harper, 32, stared at them both, coffee mug trembling slightly in her hand. For years, she'd helped them survive every crisis, debts, rent arrears, bailiffs, but now they wanted everything. It had started like any other Saturday. A quiet breakfast, sunlight spilling through the kitchen blinds, her laptop open with half-finished reports from work. Then they'd arrived unannounced, waving sheets of paper. "Family contribution plan," Leo called it, sliding it across the table. "You earn the most, Isla. It's only fair." Gloria smiled sweetly, like she was offering kindness. "You've never been good with money. We're just helping you manage." Isla almost laughed. She had covered their credit card debts twice, paid Leo's rent when he lost his job, and settled Mum's hospital bill. "You've managed enough," she said, voice calm but cold. Leo's voice hardened. "Give me your banking app. Now." His hand extended across the table like a demand, not a request. Isla's eyes met his, same hazel color, but nothing familiar left. "No," she said simply. The silence that followed felt heavy enough to crush the air. Gloria's smile faltered. "Don't test us," she hissed. "You wouldn't have what you do without us. We deserve some return." Isla stood slowly, her pulse steady despite the rage simmering beneath. "You're right," she replied softly. "People should get what they deserve." Her mother's lips curled in triumph. But Isla wasn't talking about them. Later that night, the glow from her computer screen illuminated a new kind of calm. She scrolled through her online banking, tracing every transfer, every emergency loan sent to them in the past 3 years. Nearly £39,000 had vanished. Her stomach twisted, not from regret, but resolve. Her phone buzzed, a message from Gloria. "You'll thank us later, sweetheart. We're teaching you discipline." "Discipline?" Isla smirked. She opened the portal to her firm's cybersecurity division. They thought she was an assistant. In truth, she was the systems architect, the one who built the locks no one could pick. By midnight, every direct debit and salary transfer had been rerouted into a trust account under her foundation's name. Only her fingerprint unlocked it. The next step came easy: revoke access. Her mother and brother still had joint permissions she'd once set up for family convenience. Gone now. Finally, she drafted an automatic alert. Any attempt to move funds from her old shared account would trigger an investigation. It wasn't revenge. It was protection. At 6:14 a.m., chaos began. Her phone buzzed nonstop. "Isla, something's wrong with the bank." Gloria's message blinked on the screen. Then Leo's came seconds later. "Fix it. Now." She poured coffee unbothered, the rich scent filling the small kitchen. By the time the door shook under their pounding fists, she was dressed, hair tied, bag slung across her shoulder. When she opened the door, Gloria's fury filled the hallway. "What have you done?" Isla's lips curved faintly. "Exactly what you asked. I gave everything to the family. I just updated who qualifies." They barged in, shouting over one another. Leo threw his phone onto the couch. The banking app glared with a red banner. "Account under fraud review." "You've ruined us," he barked. "You've frozen the cards. Mum can't pay rent." Isla sipped her coffee, eyes steady. "You mean my money," she corrected. Gloria's voice broke into a desperate pitch. "We're your blood. You owe us." That word, "oh," snapped something silent inside her. "I owe you," Isla whispered. "For the years I kept the lights on? For pretending your demands were love." Leo's laughter was sharp and cruel. "You think you've won? You've started a war, sis." She tilted her head, thumb brushing her phone screen. "Maybe," she said softly, "but I've already won what matters." A ping sounded from his phone. His grin vanished as he read the message. Fraudulent activity confirmed. Federal hold initiated. The hold was real, filed under her verified credentials. You can't do this. Gloria screamed. Isla turned away, serene. I already did. They stormed out, slamming the door so hard the picture frames trembled. The silence afterward felt like sunrise. 2 days passed. Then the guilt campaign began. Texts poured in. We didn't mean it, Isla. Families share. Don't be dramatic. Leo called next, his voice oozing fake calm. You've embarrassed Mum. Just give me your login. I'll fix everything. She muted him. By Friday, her aunt chimed in. Your mum's worried sick. You're overreacting. Isla smiled bitterly. That word, overreacting, had been their leash for years. She deleted the message. That evening, she returned to her office at the digital security firm. Her reflection in the glass doors caught her attention, confident, composed, free. Her colleague Maya looked up from her desk. You look like someone who just got promoted. Isla smiled faintly. Maybe I promoted myself. The truth was better. Her proposal for a new initiative, financial safety for women facing family exploitation, had been approved. The irony wasn't lost on her. By 9 p.m. that night, another message came through, this time a voice note. Gloria's voice trembled between anger and guilt. You've ruined everything, Isla. The mortgage, Leo's tuition, even the electricity. All frozen because of you. Do you feel powerful now? Isla replayed it twice, not from guilt, but from clarity. They had built comfort on her silence. Now that silence had ended. She opened her laptop and logged into the foundation account, her foundation, and transferred £8,000 to a local shelter for women escaping financial abuse. The confirmation ping felt like freedom. By the next week, whispers began to spread through her extended family. Calls from cousins, messages from relatives who never spoke unless they needed something. This time, they were curious, not compassionate. Gloria had painted herself the victim. Isla ignored them all. Her aunt tried again, softer this time. Sweetheart, your mum's just under stress. You know how families can be. Isla's tone stayed calm. Do you mean families that drain you, or the ones that call control of? The silence on the other end answered everything. At work, her new project took off faster than expected. Within 2 weeks, women from across the UK reached out for help. Teachers, nurses, designers, each with stories that mirrored her own. The system Isla had built to protect herself was now protecting them. Her department head, a calm man named Mr. Lawrence, stopped by her desk one afternoon. You turned pain into progress, Isla. That's leadership. She smiled, humble but proud. It's justice, she said quietly, just in a different form. That afternoon, an envelope arrived at her office. Inside was a court document. Gloria Harper had filed a complaint for parental neglect. Isla froze. Then she read the stamped decision. Case dismissed. The judge's notes were brief, proof of continuous financial support from Isla Harper, including payments covering utilities, medical bills, and rent for over 5 years. Every lie collapsed under her receipts. She folded the document neatly and placed it in her drawer. Evidence of closure. That evening, Leo sent one final text. We lost everything because of you. Isla stared at it for a long time, then typed back, no, you lost access. Not everything. She put her phone on silent and stepped out onto the small balcony of her Camden flat. Below her, the city pulsed with life. Buses rumbling, lights flickering, people laughing on corners. The sound didn't feel distant anymore. It felt alive, hers. For the first time in years, she slept without her phone by the bed. No guilt, no control, no emergencies disguised as love. Just quiet. The next morning, she wrote a note and pinned it to her mirror. Stop saving people who enjoy drowning. It became her daily mantra. Peace, she realized, often costs less than forgiveness. Weeks turned into months. Her project, now called Balance Forward UK, officially launched as a non-profit branch of her company. The mission was simple: help women protect their income and data from family exploitation. Her inbox filled daily with stories, some heartbreaking, some triumphant. Every story reminded her that silence breeds control, but transparency breeds freedom. At the launch event in Manchester, a reporter asked her on stage, "What inspired you to start this initiative?" Isla smiled gently. "Someone once told me I wasn't responsible enough to manage my own money," she said. "I decided to prove them right by managing everyone else's better." Laughter rippled through the room, but behind the humor was shared pain. The women nodded knowingly. After the event, Isla returned to her hotel room, exhausted but fulfilled. As she kicked off her heels, she noticed a small envelope slipped under the door. No return address. Inside was a faded photo, her, Gloria, and Leo at a park, years ago. On the back, written in Gloria's familiar handwriting, "We just wanted to feel secure. Maybe we went too far." For a moment, emotion caught in her throat. Not anger. Something quieter. Acceptance. She sat by the window, looking out over the rainy streets, and gently tore the photograph in half. Not in hate, but in release. Some relationships didn't need closure, they just needed distance. She dropped the pieces into the hotel's candle dish and watched the edges curl into ash. When the flame dimmed, she whispered, "Goodbye," and meant it. The next morning, Isla transferred another donation from her foundation, £5,000 this time, to a financial education fund in her mother's name. It wasn't forgiveness. It was closure, defined on her terms. She smiled faintly at the confirmation email. Peace didn't need applause. It just needed finality. Months later, an invitation arrived in her inbox. Women's Financial Empowerment Conference, London, keynote speaker, Isla Harper. She stared at it for a long moment before smiling. It felt surreal. A year ago, she was being told she wasn't capable. Now she was being paid to teach others how to take control. The night before the conference, Isla stood before her wardrobe, laying out her navy suit and gold necklace, a gift from herself after her first big project. She caught her reflection in the mirror, her posture straighter, her eyes clear. The woman staring back looked like someone who had finally stopped apologizing for existing. Backstage, moments before her speech, she took a deep breath. The event hall beyond the curtain buzzed with chatter and soft music. She could almost hear her mother's voice from the past. "You're too emotional to handle business, Isla." This time, the memory made her smile. She'd turned that emotion into strength. When she walked on stage, the applause was thunderous. She didn't rush her words. "Control disguised as love," she began, "is still control. And silence is its favorite weapon." The room went still. For 30 minutes, she spoke with precision and warmth, blending her story with statistics, strategy, and hope. By the end, several audience members were wiping tears. After the speech, a young woman approached her. "Miss Harper," she said softly, "I thought I was the only one." Isla shook her head, smiling. "You're not. And you never were." The woman's name was Naomi, a single mother whose parents had drained her savings under the guise of helping her budget. Isla gave her a card and said, "Come see me Monday. We'll get your finances back." That same week, Naomi joined Balance Forward as a client. Within days, Isla's team helped her secure her accounts, recover part of her lost income, and start anew. Watching Naomi sign her first independent lease brought tears to Isla's eyes. Her pain had become someone else's liberation. By summer, Balance Forward had gained national attention. BBC Radio invited Isla for an interview about financial abuse within families. Her voice was calm, professional, but personal. "We think of abuse as visible bruises," she said. "But financial control can be just as suffocating. It steals your freedom in slow motion." The host called her story transformative. The listeners called it truth. One afternoon, Isla received a message from an unknown number. "Saw you on TV. You've changed a lot. Proud of you." She knew instantly it was her mother. The name wasn't there, but the tone was unmistakable. For the first time, Isla didn't feel anger or triumph. Just peace. People changed too late sometimes. And sometimes that's enough. A year later, Isla stood in the New Balance forward headquarters in Shoreditch, surrounded by glass walls, warm lights, and laughter. The organization had grown beyond her wildest dreams. Dozens of women worked under her now, helping others untangle from exploitation. On one wall hung letters of gratitude, proof that one act of defiance could ripple into hundreds of lives. Naomi now worked beside her as program coordinator. "We just got approval for expansion," she said excitedly. "Scotland, Bristol, maybe even Belfast." Isla grinned. "Looks like we're building something real." Naomi smiled back. "Your story started it all." Isla shook her head. Gently. "No, ours did." That evening, after everyone had gone, Isla lingered in the quiet office. The city skyline glowed beyond the windows, lights shimmering against the glass. She caught her reflection, steady, composed, whole. Not the woman who once begged to be believed, but one who no longer needed permission to stand tall. Her phone buzzed, a bank alert. Automatic transfer successful. £12,000 donation sent to Women's Education Fund. It had become her ritual. Every time she remembered pain, she transformed it into progress. The habit soothed her more than any apology ever could. She poured herself a cup of tea and stepped out onto the balcony, letting the London breeze brush her face. Below, the hum of the city continued, a rhythm of resilience and renewal. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw a familiar figure crossing the street. Gloria. Older now, walking slowly, wearing a faded beige coat. For a moment their eyes met. Gloria hesitated, then offered a small, uncertain smile. It wasn't triumph or sorrow, just humanity. Isla didn't wave. She didn't need to. Some goodbyes, she thought, sound better when left unspoken. When she returned inside, she glanced at the glowing sign above her desk. Balance forward, protect, heal, rebuild. She ran her hand over the etched words and exhaled deeply. The office felt warm, like home. Not because of blood, but because of choice. Her phone chimed, a message from Naomi. "Thank you for believing in me." Isla typed back, "We believe in each other. That's how freedom works." She set the phone down and closed her laptop. The city outside was still buzzing, but inside her chest, there was silence, peaceful, earned, deserved. Later that night, as rain tapped gently against the windows, Isla sat on her couch with a notebook. She wrote down a new mantra. Family isn't who demands your loyalty. It's who celebrates your peace. She underlined it twice, then closed the book with a soft smile. For the first time in her life, she felt whole without needing anyone's approval. The fear that once dictated her every move had been replaced with purpose. She no longer asked for love to feel safe. She built safety herself, and shared it with others who needed it most. As dawn began to rise over London, Isla stood by the window, watching light spill across the skyline. Somewhere, a kettle whistled in a nearby flat, a quiet reminder of ordinary life. She smiled, whispering to herself, "Peace isn't given, it's chosen." And for Isla Harper, that choice had finally become home.